My sister was born different, but to us, she's perfect. So when Karen said she made the neighborhood look bad, I didn't just get mad. I made sure everyone saw her true face instead. Why do people stare at me like that? My little sister asked me that once, tugging at my sleeve while we were walking down the sidewalk. She was 9. I froze. I looked into those big, curious eyes, and I didn't know what to say. Because you shine brighter than everyone else, I told her. She giggled. That's not why, she whispered. It's because of my face, right? Her name is Lily. She was born with a cleft lip and palate. Multiple surgeries, appointments, speech therapy, you name it. She's been through it. But none of that ever dimmed her joy. Not once. Every morning, she greets the day like it's the best one ever. Today's a cookie day, she'll shout, even if there's no cookie in sight. She dances in the hallway, sings way too loud, and hugs like she's made of sunshine. And the neighbors? Most of them adore her. Mrs. Henderson across the street calls her the little spark plug. The mailman always brings her stickers. Even the grumpy guy with 5 cats cracks a smile when she waves at him. But not everyone in the neighborhood had a heart, especially not Karen. I remember one summer morning, bright, breezy, perfect. Lily and I were setting up a lemonade stand. We made the signs with glitter glue and neon markers. She wore her purple tutu and a unicorn headband because, obviously, those were business essentials. 50 cents a cup. First smile is free, she shouted at passing joggers. Business was booming. Cars slowed down, people pulled over. Some gave her $5 and told her to keep the change. And then she came. Karen, arms crossed, sunglasses on. Her dog dressed better than half the kids in school. She stood in front of our stand like we were blocking traffic. Like Lily was committing a crime. What's all this mess? Karen's voice cut through the sunshine like a knife. It's a lemonade stand, Miss Karen, Lily said cheerfully. You want one? Karen looked at her like she'd just asked to sell uranium. No, I don't want any sugar water. I'm more concerned about presentation. Presentation? I asked, stepping forward. I already felt that creeping heat in my chest. The one I get when I know something's about to piss me off. Karen tilted her head, lowered her sunglasses just enough to look Lily up and down. You know, she said, some of us have guests this weekend. It wouldn't kill you to, I don't know, keep her inside sometimes. I blinked. Excuse me? Karen leaned in a little. I mean, she's sweet and all, but it's just not a good look for the neighborhood. She made a vague motion around her own face. Condition. It's distracting. Lily looked up at me, confused. What's wrong with my face? Jaw clenched so hard I felt my teeth grind. You want to say that again? I asked Karen. She scoffed. Look, I'm not trying to be rude, but families move into this neighborhood expecting a certain standard. If you're going to let her run around like that, maybe think about keeping her out of sight during open houses and events. Lily's smile disappeared. She looked down at her shoes. That broke something in me. She's not some broken lawn ornament, Karen. She's a kid. My sister. Karen shrugged. Some people just don't want to see things that make them uncomfortable. I didn't even respond after that. I just packed up the lemonade stand while Karen stood there like she'd done the world a favor. Lily stayed quiet. I told her we'd make lemonade at home instead, just for us. That night, I heard Lily talking to Mom. Do I make the neighborhood ugly? I stood outside the door and felt like my heart had been ripped out. Mom reassured her, of course. Told her she was beautiful and kind and smart and perfect. But you could tell Lily wasn't fully convinced. Karen's words had taken root, and I wasn't going to let them grow. The next morning, Lily didn't want to go outside. Didn't want to dance. Didn't want to set up her lemonade stand. She said maybe she'd stay inside today. Maybe forever. That was the moment I decided something had to be done. You don't get to make a little girl feel ashamed of being born. You don't get to weaponize your discomfort. You don't get to smile to the HOA and stab a child's confidence. In the back, not in my house, not on my street. Karen was going to regret ever saying a word. I tried to shake it off. I really did. But every time I saw Lily sitting by the window instead of playing outside, I felt it clawing at me again. The rage. A few days passed. I thought maybe Karen would disappear into whatever black hole rich, bitter, on women crawl back into when they're not ruining something, but no. She doubled down. I was coming back from school when I saw the HOA newsletter taped to our front door. That's weird, I thought. We usually just get those in the mailbox. I ripped it off and read the headline. Maintaining curb appeal during summer events. Okay, whatever. But then I saw the bullet points. Keep lawns manicured. No garage clutter visible from the street. No unnecessary distractions during open house weekends. And then the one that made me stop breathing for a second. We ask residents to avoid front yard activities that could be visually upsetting to prospective buyers or guests. That was in bold, visual, upsetting. My fist crumpled the paper so hard I could feel the ink smudge into my skin. I marched straight to the HOA office 2 streets over. It's basically a fancy shed attached to a pool. Karen, of course, was inside, sitting at a desk she definitely didn't earn, sipping cucumber water like she ran the world. Ah, she said without even looking up. Figured you'd be by. You wrote this? I held up the paper. Her lips curled into that smug little smile she always wore. The board approved the newsletter. No, I snapped. You know what I mean. That line. Visually upsetting? You're talking about my sister. Karen blinked like she was surprised I'd caught on. I didn't name names. Don't play games with me. You're saying Lily can't play outside because she makes people uncomfortable? Karen tilted her head. All I'm saying is, certain appearances might distract from the image we want our neighborhood to reflect. You know, symmetry, charm, peacefulness. She's 9, I said, my voice rising. She's a kid, not a cracked fence or an overgrown bush. Karen stood up slowly, walked around the desk, and leaned against it like she was about to give me a TED talk on etiquette. Young man, she began. I understand you care for your sister. That's very sweet. But this isn't about your emotions. This is about community standards. Presentation matters. And frankly, if her condition causes discomfort, that's not my fault. You know what else causes discomfort? I snapped. Your face. That wiped the smile off hers. Excuse me, she said. You heard me, I said. You want to talk about appearances? Your fake kindness is the ugliest thing on this block. Karen stepped closer, trying to assert her little queen bee dominance. I suggest you calm down before I report this as harassment. Oh, please, I laughed bitterly. You harassed a 9-year-old and now you're playing victim? She smirked again. Be careful. There are rules here. People like your family don't always last long in this neighborhood if they cause waves. I swear, I saw red. That wasn't just snobbery. That was a threat. That night at dinner I couldn't sit still. My fork scraped the plate more than it held food. Mom kept asking if I was okay. I just nodded. I didn't want to dump all of it on her yet. But then Lily came in, barefoot, dragging her stuffed bunny by the ear, and said quietly, Can I paint my face to look normal tomorrow? My mom froze. I dropped my fork. Who told you that? Mom asked. Lily shrugged. No one. I just think maybe I'd look nicer for the people driving by. It hit like a punch to the chest. Karen's words were seeping in. Lily wasn't just sad. She was starting to believe the lie. That's when I decided I couldn't just argue anymore. Karen wanted to play dirty? Fine, I'd show her how it felt to have your image shattered. I spent the next 2 days gathering receipts, literal ones. I talked to neighbors, found others who Karen had targeted with her little standards. One woman was fined for having a garden gnome she said looked tacky. A teenager got written up for excessive skateboard noise. Another family got a warning for their autistic son's erratic backyard behavior. She didn't care about the rules. She cared about control, about image, about crafting her Stepford little empire. And I was going to burn that image down, with proof. I went back to the HOA office one more time, this time with my phone recording. Karen was typing away when I walked in. You again, she said, sighing. What now? I smiled. Just wanted to ask, on camera, if you could clarify that newsletter line, about things that are visually upsetting. She looked up, annoyed. We already discussed that. Right, but just for clarity. What exactly did you mean? Karen waved her hand dismissively. I meant people like your sister shouldn't be on full display if they cause discomfort. That's not so hard to understand. Click. Got it. I walked out before she even realized the mistake she'd made. I had what I needed. Mom sat on the couch, reading over the HOA newsletter. Her fingers tightened around the edges like she was holding a bomb. "What the hell is this?" she finally asked. I leaned against the wall. Karen's way of saying Lily should disappear when people are visiting the neighborhood. Mom dropped the paper onto the table. "That woman is lucky I haven't marched down there and—" "I already did," I said. "Twice." "And?" She doubled down. Just then, Lily walked into the living room wearing her princess dress. She had glitter on her cheeks and a tiara slightly crooked on her head. "Do I look fancy enough for the party?" she asked, twirling. "What party, baby?" Mom asked, smiling through tight lips. "The neighborhood party. The one with the balloons and the ice cream truck." Mom looked at me. I looked at Lily. That party. The HOA's annual summer welcome bash. The one they held every year to impress new buyers and show off how perfect the neighborhood was Karen's masterpiece. Lily didn't know it yet, but she wasn't welcome there. I knelt down. "You look like royalty," I said. "But about the party?" "What about it?" she asked, smile still hanging on. I hesitated. Mom spoke up instead. "Baby, they're saying this year might be more for grown-ups." Lily's shoulders unsank. "But last year I got my face painted." "I know," Mom said softly. "But things are different now." "Because of my face?" she whispered. That silence afterward was unbearable. She turned and walked away. I followed her to her room. "Hey," I said, knocking softly. "Can I come in?" She nodded. She was sitting on her bed, tiara in her lap. "Lily," I said, "there's nothing wrong with you. There's something wrong with them." She didn't answer. I sat next to her. "Look, sometimes people don't understand things that are different, and instead of trying, they pretend it's a problem." She looked up. "So I am different." "Yeah. And that's what makes you amazing." Her voice cracked. "Then why doesn't anyone want to see me?" That hurt more than anything Karen ever said. "I do," I said. "A lot of people do. And guess what? This time, they're going to." The next day, I got to work. I started texting neighbors, especially the ones Karen had crossed before. I asked one question: "Do you think Lily should be at the party?" Every single one of them replied with something like, "Of course," or "Why wouldn't she be?" Then I sent them the audio clip of Karen saying, "People like your sister shouldn't be on full display if they cause discomfort." Some didn't believe it. Some cried. Some got angry. I asked them to share it. They did. Within 24 hours, the clip was everywhere. Group chats, Facebook pages, even next door. One parent reposted it with, "So this is what HOA fees are paying for?" By the next morning, Karen was in full damage control mode, but it was too late. The party was still happening, and Lily was going. We got there early. She wore the same princess dress. This time, I made sure her tiara was straight. As we walked in, people stared, but not like before. They smiled. Mrs. Henderson rushed over with a balloon animal. "Lily, I saved you the pink dragon," the face-painting lady waved. "You want sparkles again?" Even the DJ shouted, "My favorite customer is here." Karen? She was posted up by the lemonade table like a gargoyle, arms crossed, fake smile, stretched to the edge of her Botox. When she saw Lily, her eyes twitched. Then she saw me, and the phone in my hand. She walked over fast, heels clicking like she meant business. "We need to talk." "About what?" I said, loud enough for the nearby parents to hear. Karen forced a smile. "Can we do this privately?" "Nope." Her jaw tensed. "This is a public event for the community, and you're making it uncomfortable." "You mean visually? Upsetting?" I asked. Her face flushed. A few parents nearby snorted. "You've twisted my words. I recorded your words, and everyone's already heard them." Karen looked around. Whispers were everywhere. People were watching her, not with respect, but with disgust. "She doesn't belong here," she hissed. "You're just using her for attention." Wrong again, I said. She belongs more than you ever will. Karen took a step forward like she was about to start yelling, but then someone tapped her on the shoulder. It was Mr. Levine from the HOA board. Karen, he said, we need to speak. Now. She looked at me, then at Lily, then back at him. Can it wait? No. It really can't, he said. We'll be discussing your position after this. Karen's smile vanished. She turned without another word and stormed off with Mr. Levine. Lily looked up at me. Did I do something wrong? No, I said, smiling. You did everything right. Then I knelt and fixed her tiara again. The party was over, but the fallout was just beginning. 2 days later, we got a knock on our door. Mom opened it. It was Mr. Levine again, this time with a clipboard, a stern look, and a woman I didn't recognize. Ma'am, he said. This is Sandra Velez from Channel 9. I stepped into the hallway. Wait, the news? Sandra smiled gently. We've received multiple calls and a copy of a recording. Several residents mentioned your family was directly affected. Mom looked surprised. We didn't contact the media. I did, I said, stepping forward. Mom blinked. You what? After Lily asked if she should paint her face to look normal? Yeah, I did. Sandra glanced between us. We'd like to run a story on what happened, if you're okay with it. You don't have to use your real names or show your faces. Mom looked at me, then Lily, who was peeking around the hallway corner. Then she nodded. Let's do it. That night, we sat down with Sandra and told her everything, from the backhanded comments to the newsletter, from the recorded statement to the party. Lily sat beside us the whole time, holding her stuffed bunny, brave and quiet, until Sandra asked, Lily, what would you want people to know if they see someone who looks different? Lily answered without blinking, that we're not broken. We're just special in a way you can't see with your eyes. Sandra's crew got quiet. Later that week, the story aired. Local HOA targets child over birth defect. Residents fight. Back. They blurred Lily's face, but they didn't blur Karen's voice. The clip played loud and clear. People like your sister shouldn't be on full display if they cause discomfort. That quote went viral. Local parents were furious. But the real blow came the next day, when Karen's employer called her in. She worked for a real estate company, or used to. Because the moment her HOA statement made its way online, the company made their own. We do not tolerate discriminatory behavior, especially from those representing our brand. This employee is no longer with our company. Boom. Karen, fired, but I wasn't done. The HOA board called an emergency meeting. For the first time in forever, they invited residents to attend and speak, and trust me, people showed up. The meeting. Room was packed wall to wall, folding chairs, angry parents, even a few folks standing in the back with strollers, and everyone had a story. My autistic son got a warning for screaming too loud. She fined my dad for keeping his walker. Outside the front door, I was told my lawn decorations were ethnically distracting. Whatever the hell that means. It all came pouring out. Then it was my turn. I stood up, looked directly at Karen, who sat at the far end, pale and silent, and said, You tried to shame a 9-year-old into hiding, because she didn't fit your perfect little picture. But you forgot something. We live here too. And now we know what you really think of us. Karen stood suddenly. This is a witch hunt. Mr. Levine shook his head. Karen, please sit down. She didn't. I have served this community for over 6 years. Exactly, someone shouted. Too long. Karen threw her hands up. All I did was enforce standards. Standards? I snapped. You mean discrimination? The room erupted in murmurs and agreement. Karen opened her mouth again, then closed it. That night, the board voted. Karen was removed as HOA president, effective immediately. No ceremony, no farewell, no chance to save face. She walked out of the meeting like someone just canceled her entire life. The next morning, our driveway had a surprise on it. A note. No name. Just a piece of paper folded in half, stuck under a rock. It read, She's gone. Thanks to your sister, this neighborhood feels human again. Lily didn't understand all of it, but she understood enough. She smiled a little more after that. People started stopping by when she was outside. They waved, said hi, asked her about the sparkles on her shoes, treated her like a kid. Not a problem, and the best part? Next month, the HOA held a community vote, a real one. No more backroom meetings or newsletters full of coded language. They even created a new role: Community Inclusion Advisor. Guess who got nominated? Mom. She cried when she found out. And Lily? She just whispered, "Does this mean I get to help pick the next party theme?" We laughed so hard we almost forgot everything that led up to that moment. Almost, but not quite. A few weeks after Karen was ousted, Lily stood on our front lawn wearing a sparkly gold cape and holding a cardboard wand. She called out to a group of kids from down the block, "I now declare this patch of grass the land of glitter." The other kids cheered. She grinned. I just watched from the porch, arms crossed, heart full. Who would have thought? Same neighborhood, same houses. But everything felt different. Later that afternoon, Mrs. Henderson brought over a tray of cookies. "Lily, I need your royal opinion. Should I add more sprinkles next time?" Lily gave her a serious look. 10% more, at least. "Got it," Mrs. Henderson said, laughing. That never would have happened before. Before Karen, Lily was just tolerated. Now, she was the star. The HOA even made space for her in the next community newsletter. Full color. Her picture with the caption, "Lily's Corner, Monthly Thoughts from Our Brightest Neighbor." She got to write the first one by hand. It said, "Hi neighbors, be kind to people even if they're different, especially then, because it makes your heart better. Also, don't be scared of glitter. It's just happiness you can touch." I read it 3 times. Even the grumpy old guy who always yelled at people for walking on his grass said, "That kid's smarter than half this board." And speaking of the board, things shifted fast. They passed new guidelines around inclusivity. No more aesthetic violations based on mobility aids, medical equipment, or visible differences. They even hosted a Celebrate Uniqueness event at the park. Face painting? Check. Music? Check. One very proud girl in a pink cape giving a speech on the mic? You bet. Lily stood up there, hands shaking just a little, and said, "Sometimes people think looking different is scary, but it's not. It just means you're outside. Tells a different story than you're inside, that's all." People clapped, some cried. Karen? She didn't show up. But someone did run into her at the grocery store. She looked like she wanted to vanish, they told me. People stared like she had a "canceled" sign taped to her forehead. I didn't feel bad. Not even a little, because she wasn't just mean. She tried to make Lily feel invisible. And now, Lily was unforgettable. One evening, I found Lily sitting on the porch swing, watching the sun go down. "What you thinking about?" I asked, sitting beside her. She shrugged. "Just stuff. I'm happy now. I like it when people smile at me because they want to, not because they're pretending." I nodded. "I'm proud of you," I said. "You stood your ground, and you changed things." She looked up at me. "Do you think Karen hates me?" "No," I said. "I think she's scared of you." "Because I'm different?" "No. Because you didn't stay quiet." She was quiet for a second, then smiled. "I think I want to be a superhero when I grow up." "You already are," I said. Then she looked me dead in the eyes and added, "Also, I'm raising HOA fees when I become president." I choked on my soda. "What?" "Yeah," she giggled. Karen made it look fun. We both cracked up. That's how healing works, I guess. First it breaks you, then it puts you back together with extra parts. Parts that glitter. A few weeks later, our house got chosen for Yard of the Month. Lily designed the whole thing. Giant, colorful pinwheels, a flamingo in a tutu, and a cardboard sign that read, "Welcome to Lilyville. Everyone's invited." She made me hang it on the mailbox. I didn't argue, because honestly, that sign said everything better than I ever could.